Well, I'm Chris Foster. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is at the White House this morning. He again, in a statement, denies sexually assaulting a woman when they were in high school. Both he and the woman, Christine Ford, say they're willing to speak to Congress.
And let that be part of what everybody considers before they cast a vote.
White House counsel Kellyanne Conway on Fox and Friends, Ford's attorney, says since coming forward,
she did receive a lot of very vicious, sexually violent emails from total strangers, and of course that's extremely unsettling.
Deborah Katz
Hey
on
y'all,
ABC's
this is
Today
Amazon
Show.
Jude coming
A
in from
one-year-old boy
Wyoming
is
in her
missing
war
in North
room.
Carolina.
Today's date is 10/5/2018, and the time is 1:30 in the afternoon. Susan Collins just began speaking a little bit ago, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put together this video of where it began, the middle of it, and the end. This is going to cover a lot of ground for you kids that aren't being taught history, that aren't being taught civics in school, which is one thing that every American should know, is our civics and our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. So this one's on the Kavanaugh hearing. We'll play a little bit of both sides, and then it's up to you to make your decision on who you think is more credible. And then at the end, we'll do the final outcome for the vote, which will happen, it's supposed to be tomorrow, Saturday. And I think everybody knows that everybody's who's involved in politics have been glued to the internet for at least the past 2 weeks. I think the most outrageous thing where this began for me was when I found out that it was the senators themselves that give out tickets for people to be in the hearing there at back, like Kavanaugh and Miss Ford. And I can't help but wonder with, looked like there was probably about 30 of them. So that means at least three senators gave up 15 tickets to make sure that the hearing was interrupted for Judge Kavanaugh. And I think that's despicable. And I think America, I hope you're waking up to see that these games that the Democrats continue to play, it has no place in our politics, and it has no place in our government. We hired Trump to clean up the swamp. And unless we help him do that, we're not holding up our end of the bargain. You can't fight this alone. It's nice to see some soldiers finally stepping up to the plate. Thank you, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Senator Goodlatte, Mark Meadows. I'd like to see Dianne Black get in there. I'd like to see the colored fellow up in Michigan take over Debbie Stabenow, governor or senator, I think. You have to pardon me. You do know that I battle breast cancer, and I'm doing radiation right now, and I'm still getting a little bit of chemo about every 3 weeks. So my brain isn't exactly 100%. But let's start at the beginning of this. I'm going to take us back 2 weeks to the beginning of Judge Kavanaugh began his testimony in front of Congress.
10 long days, as was predictable, and as I predicted, my family and my name have been totally and permanently destroyed by vicious and false additional accusations. The 10-day delay has been harmful to me and my family, to the Supreme Court, and to the country. When this allegation first arose, I welcomed any kind of investigation, Senate, FBI, or otherwise. The committee now has conducted a thorough investigation, and I've cooperated fully. I know that any kind of investigation, Senate, FBI, Montgomery County Police, whatever, will clear me. Listen to the people I know. Listen to the people who have known me my whole life. Listen to the people I've grown up with and worked with and played with and coached with and dated and taught and gone to games with and had beers with. And listen to the witnesses who allegedly were at this event 36 years ago. Listen to Miss Kaiser. She does not know me. I was not at the party described by Dr. Ford.
He's getting emotional, but wouldn't you?
In 9th grade,
who didn't fuck up in 9th grade? That's one of the things that bothers me the most. Is, you know, people
is a good reminder as we sit here today, some 36 years after the alleged event occurred, when there is no corroboration, and indeed it is refuted by the people allegedly there.
Look at what they did to him.
After I've been in the public arena for 26 years.
26 years, and nobody said a damn word till the Democrats lost the presidency. They were about to lose some House seats and some Congress seats over their obstruction of our president, and the fact that we're trying to make America back online and what it should be. And the Democrats are throwing a fit like fucking 2-year-old children because they don't have power anymore. So they're pulling out everything, the race card, the woman card, the fag card, you name it, they pull it. Instead of fighting on reality and facts, they fight on fantasy and emotion.
Without even a hint, a whiff of an allegation like this. And when my nomination to the Supreme Court confirmation, shortly after I was nominated, the Democratic Senate leader said he would, quote, oppose me with everything he's got. A Democratic senator on this committee publicly referred to me as evil.
Yeah. HARONO.
Evil.
Hawaii pineapple.
It said that those who supported me were, quote, complicit in evil. Another Democratic senator on this committee said, quote, Judge Kavanaugh is your worst nightmare.
Shame on you,
A former
Dianne
head of the
Feinstein.
Democratic National Committee said, quote, Judge Kavanaugh will threaten the lives of millions of Americans for decades to come. I understand the passions of the moment, but I would say to those senators, your words have meaning. Millions of Americans listened carefully to you. Given comments like those, is it any surprise that people have been willing to do anything, to make any physical threat against my family, to send any violent email to my wife, to make any kind of allegation against me and against my friends, to blow me up and take me down?
And that's exactly what they had planned, and it's not working. This was the part I was looking for, because I think it's the most powerful.
To my wife, to make any kind of allegation against me and against my friends, to blow me up and take me down. You sowed the wind. For decades to come, I fear that the whole country will reap the whirlwind. The behavior of several of the Democratic members of this committee at my hearing a few weeks ago was an embarrassment. But at least it was just a good old-fashioned attempt at borking.
Yep.
Those efforts didn't work.
Borking means fuck over.
But I did at least okay enough at the hearings that it looked like I might actually get confirmed a new tactic was needed. Some of you were lying in wait and had it ready.
Yep, Kamala Harris.
This first allegation was held in secret for weeks by a Democratic member of this committee and by staff. It would be needed only if you couldn't take me out on the merits. When it was needed, this allegation was unleashed and publicly deployed over Dr. Ford's wishes. And then, as no doubt was expected, if not planned, came a long series of false last-minute smears designed to scare me and drive me out of the process before any hearing occurred. Crazy stuff. Gangs, illegitimate children, fights on boats in Rhode Island. All nonsense, reported breathlessly and often uncritically by the media. This has destroyed my family and my good name. A good name built up through decades of very hard work and public service at the highest levels of the American government. This whole 2-week effort has been a calculated and orchestrated political hit, fueled with apparent pent-up anger about President Trump
Here it
in the
is.
2016 election, fear that has been unfairly stoked about my judicial record, revenge on behalf of the Clintons, and millions of dollars in money from outside left-wing opposition groups.
Yep. Women's
This
March.
is a circus. The consequences will extend long past my nomination. The consequences will be with us for decades. This grotesque and coordinated character assassination will dissuade competent and good people of all political persuasions from serving our country. And as we all know, in the United States political system of the early 2000s, what goes around comes around.
Yep.
I am an optimistic guy.
Now eat that,
I
Democrat.
always try to be on the sunrise side of the mountain, to be optimistic about the day that is coming. But today, I have to say that I fear for the future. Last time I was here, I told this committee that a federal judge must be independent, not swayed by public or political pressure. I said I was such a judge, and I am. I will not be intimidated into withdrawing from this process. You've tried hard. You've given it your all. No one can question your effort. But your coordinated and well-funded effort to destroy my good name and destroy my family will not drive me out.
Perfect.
In his extraordinary presentation in the Senate, Brett Kavanaugh said that the, quote, political hit job, end quote, directed at him was being done on behalf of the Clintons, among other people. Your response?
Judge Kavanaugh has the temperament, independence, and credibility to serve on the United States Supreme Court. So, I ask my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, why Judge Kavanaugh? There is no dictate that you have to march blindly forward with a nominee when there are others available to you. There are many judges who I'm sure conservatives would be happy to have on the court. I'd remind my colleagues, the seat that Brett Kavanaugh aspires to fill was held by a justice who assumed the bench after one nominee was voted down by the Senate and a second nominee withdrew his nomination. But the Republican majority has pressed forward blindly on Judge Kavanaugh, even when brave women came forward to speak truth to power. Why? For what cause? For the sake of winning? That's not reason enough. My colleagues on the other side, if you have doubts about Judge Kavanaugh's credibility, about his ability to tell the truth, about his ability to be impartial and nonpartisan, no matter what you think of his jurisprudence, or what he may or may not have done in high school and college, you should not vote.
You have a list of all the people that the president has said are on the list for potential nominees.
Yeah.
What's your point?
Well, here's my point. This is a list that was compiled in November, but we actually put it out during the campaign. There are 20-something people on this list. I'm asking Chuck Schumer, name 5, name 3, name 1 that would be okay with you. Brett Kavanaugh was a mainstream judge. I would have chosen him if I'd been president. Bush supported him. Everybody running for president on our side believed that Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch were outstanding conservative jurists. The other side wants to cancel the election. So, Chuck, you want somebody new. Look at this list and see if there's anybody you agree to. But what you want to do, Senator Schumer, is to overturn the election, and you pick the judges. We're not going to let you pick the judges. If you want to pick judges, then you need to win the White House.
Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham. Senator, And I hesitate to get into this after my conversation with Mitch McConnell. I think of you generally as a happy political warrior, but I got to say, over the last couple of weeks, you have seemed angry, and I guess I'm questioning what has gotten so much under your skin. I wanted to take a look at Lindsey Graham over the last couple of weeks. Here you are.
This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics.
I thought she was handled respectfully. I thought Kavanaugh was treated like crap. Yeah, well, boo yourself.
So why are you, well, now you seem happy, but why are you, or have you been an unhappy warrior these couple of weeks?
I'm happy because the effort to humiliate and railroad a man I've known for 20 years who's never been banned from a mall, unlike Roy Moore, failed. I'm happy that those who tried to destroy his life fell short. I'm glad those who tried to overturn the rule of law and replace it with mob rule lost. I've never been more pissed in my life. I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan. I would have never done this to them. This was character assassination. This was wanting power too much. And to the extent that I came to the aid of this good man and helped defeat this debacle, I'm happy as a clam.
You almost feel sorry for her. Shouldn't have done it, lady.
Somehow broken over this is simply inaccurate.
But, Mr. Leader, those things have happened, but this is of a different order. And Democrats are pointing not only to the way this was handled, but in the history of partisanship of the Supreme Court, your decision to block Merrick Garland is something they see as having kicked off a new stage in the partisanship associated with Supreme Court nominees.
Yeah, they don't know much history. You have to go back to 1880 to find the last time a Senate controlled by a different party from the president confirmed a Supreme Court justice to a vacancy created in the middle of a presidential election. They also conveniently forgotten that Joe Biden said in 1992, when he was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, the Democrats control the Senate, Republican in the White House. If a vacancy occurred, they wouldn't fill it. They also conveniently forgot that Chuck Schumer and Harry Reid, 18 months before the end of Bush 43, said if a Supreme Court vacancy occurred, they wouldn't fill it.
This is a disgusting ad, obviously, but what's so distressing is that you ran it, because this is guilt by association, the very thing the ACLU nobly stood against during, for instance, the blacklist period. Bill Cosby and Brett Kavanaugh have nothing in common, and you twin them in order to discredit Kavanaugh. How could you do that as the ACLU?
So I appreciate your comments, Tucker. And the common thread here, of course, is powerful men whose careers were on the line issuing denials about sexual wrongdoing. And in this instance, we believe that the denial issued by Brett Kavanaugh goes right to integrity, a position that he's applying for on the Supreme Court, in which he sits in judgment of the rest of the nation. Integrity is of the critical importance, the utmost importance.
Okay,
and we have doubt about his integrity.
I agree, and I would never argue against the importance of integrity. Okay. But Bill Cosby has been convicted of crimes in court. He went through the legal process, the one that the ACLU, before it was taken over by partisans like you, once defended. Brett Kavanaugh has not been. So putting them together is by definition guilt by association and unfair. Do you think that the person in your position 20 years ago would have seen that?
Tucker, this isn't a civil or criminal trial. I think you understand that. We're talking about a job promotion assessment.
No, that's the point I'm making.
The standard of proof here is not beyond a reasonable doubt assessment.
So then why did you put him next to Bill Cosby, who has been tried and convicted?
He is not entitled to the presumption of innocence. If you assume that,
is that right?
He's entitled to the job on the Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, but I'm not actually. But hold on, I'm not arguing that. I'm asking you why you put him next to a man who was tried in court and convicted of felonies and sentenced to prison,
because that
when he, as you just noted, hasn't done any of those things.
That individual also denied the accusations. I think you would appreciate, Tucker, that we're criticizing people on the left and the right.
I don't care about the left and the right. I care about the principles that make the country worth living in, which you once defended and now you urinate on. Why not put him next to Charles Manson?
Sexual assault is to be taken very seriously here, Tucker, and I think that we're often crowding out the voices of women and believing the men and not believing women. In this case, this woman came forward under extreme, difficult circumstances, and we should be believed.
Hold on, you're the ACLU. Hold on, you're the ACLU. You don't believe in collective judgment or collective punishment. You believe in the rights of... Let me just remind you what you believe, because I think I know more about your organization than you. I just want to chapter of a book on the ACLU.
Okay. It's an individualized determination about this woman who came forward and
I understand
credible.
Exactly. Thank you. Now you're back in reasonable mode. So why would you say it's about women being heard when, of course, it's not? It's about one woman making one allegation against one man. It's not about
in
all
those
women.
instances, there have been other men who've denied accusations.
So what?
That we've said, and all we're saying is that in this instance, like in previous instances, women deserve an opportunity to be heard.
Hold on. So you're endorsing collective judgment and collective punishment. Yes, you are. Other women have nothing to do with it.
Sir, the judgment against Kavanaugh is on the merits of the issues against Kavanaugh. He has not been honest and forthright. Tucker, I believe this, that had he come forward and said, listen, all of us were young at some point in life. We did something.
Okay, now you're just getting into fantasies. Let me ask you, let me ask you something that I've wanted to ask you for a long time. The ACLU is the reason that the First Amendment was defined in the Clarence Brandenburg versus Ohio case of 1967. He was a Klansman. And you guys defended his right to speak, and that's why I have the right to say what I think is true. The ACLU has now decided they're not going to defend anybody they disagree with.
No, sir. I think we are defending right now.
Do you want me to read the quote to you?
We're defining. If you said the Charlottesville case.
Do you want me to read the quote?
Name another group out there.
I'll tell you. We can refuse cases defending
with people on different ideological spectrums.
No, this is your new standard. You're trying to shut me down because you know.
Turn off his mic. He's a fucking moron.
You read the memo from your group. We're not going to assist in cases that may advance the goals of white supremacists or others whose views are contrary to our values. If you're not defending people who are unpopular, who you disagree with, why do you still exist?
Ronald Reagan in 1988 has long been a crucial swing vote in the sharply divided court. And his departure at age 81 gives President Trump an opportunity to name his second Supreme Court justice.
President Trump will announce the next nominee to the Supreme Court tonight at the White House.
This will shift the balance of power on the Supreme Court for decades to come.
It is my honor and privilege to announce that I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court.
Somebody's seen as a real intellectual heavyweight, Yale College, Yale Law School. He clerked for Justice Kennedy. He's written more than 300 opinions. He worked in the Bush White House. Conservatives would be very happy with this.
This is going to set off a huge political fight in the Senate.
The left is already in full resistance mode over Judge Kavanaugh. Left-wing agitators and politicians began protesting his nomination. He sought to the Supreme Court almost as soon as President Trump made the announcement.
I will oppose him with everything I've got.
Classic Schumer, as the leader of the Democrats, has got to find reasons to try to delay and obfuscate the law, the Supreme Court nominee.
A number of Democrats came out opposed to Judge Kavanaugh before he was even nominated.
Democrats escalated their fight over access to documents.
Republicans say Kavanaugh has already produced a record number of documents.
It's just a delay tactic. We need to do our job here in the United States Senate.
Democrats are looking for any way to slow things down.
You are either complicit in the evil or you are fighting against it.
No delaying the drama today as Democrats demanded one just seconds into the hearing.
The session just completely erupted in chaos.
We cannot possibly move forward, Mr. Chairman.
I extend a very warm welcome.
We have not been given an opportunity.
The Senate confirmation hearings for the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh just wrapped.
Democrats didn't have a knockout punch, but the vote is now scheduled for September 20th on Judge Kavanaugh.
I think our Democratic colleagues have found out all of their other attempts to undermine or to criticize this nominee.
This has been a very low point for many people whose job it was to advise and consent the president on judicial nominations. They wanted America to look up and see Brett Kavanaugh as a gang rapist, and a lot of women, including me in America, looked up and saw a man who was the political character assassination, and also we looked up and saw in him possibly our husbands, our sons, our cousins, our co-workers, our brothers. And this was unfair. Had they shown Brett Kavanaugh the grace and dignity that his 10-year-old daughter showed Dr. Ford, that we all showed her in her testimony in the FBI supplemental investigation.
Okay.
And I think there should be some soul searching.
Next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. That's my president.